keep my introduction really brief tonight because we only have an hour. And I think some or many of you perhaps may have uh, uh, joined us for some of these sessions in the past. Our idea with this series called Core Trainings was to offer something that was much less rigorous than the Zen Peacemaker Order 16-month training, which some of you here have done. Um, Much more accessible, shorter, no prerequisites, free, all of that. So we did. And so we have four different topic areas that we really feel like are the most core for Zen peacemakers. And so we do an introduction to meditation, an introduction to council practice, an introduction to the three tenets. And tonight, our friend Roshi Eve Marko is going to talk about uh, peacemaking in the context of Zen peacemakers and our approach to that. And then we repeat those. So any one of those we put up 3 times a year, and you're welcome to come visit us multiple times. So we're a small enough group tonight, so I think we can be intimate. And I think I know Eve well enough. She's going to probably try to encourage you to interact and have something to say. So loosen up your vocal cords and set aside your your inhibitions and join in. So with that, I'll let my friend Eve go ahead and take over and guide us tonight. Thank you all.
Oh my goodness, who's inhibited here? Come on. Oh my goodness. Well, I'm going to do a Bernie. I'm going to kind of go right to you. So, Margaret, what are you inhibited about? Do you want to say or you don't want to say? It's fine.
Um, well, I'm a little shy. I'm slightly introverted. This is new for me. I read your blog,
Ah,
got inspired, and clicked the button that said register for tomorrow night or tonight, whatever. Um, I like to listen. I'm a one-on-one person when it comes to sharing more than a group person. But I'm here.
thank you. And thank you. I love to know that you came from because I wrote it in my blog. I mentioned it in my blog this morning. So welcome to you and thank you for sharing that. It's amazing being shy. I have a dear friend called Jeff Bridges who's been a star for decades. And he sent me some music and he said to me, I'm shy about sharing this, Eve. And I wrote him, You shy? Why are you shy? And he really is shy. I know this. And he said to me, Oh, it's all the bullshit about worrying what people think about you. And I wrote back, Byron Katie says that what others think about you is not your business. Your business is to just worry about your own mind, not what's in other people's minds. It's such a kind of boom. It's the way she talks and everything. If you know Byron Katie's work,
I do. I like that.
yeah.
Yes.
So I'm shy. Everybody's shy about something or another. But it was funny that somebody like him, who's so used to being in that world, could say, Eve, I'm really shy about this. So I'm just letting you know. And before we start, I want to encourage you all to please make a donation to Zen Peacemakers, which presents this. And, if you don't think this was of any value, don't donate any money. But if it in some way helps, um, I know it's a big help for Zen Peacemakers. So I really like to highlight that. They do such, we do such good work. Me. I'm only involved since 1985, just 40 years. Okay. So with that, and I'll also say that anybody who has questions, I will pause in my presentation, but if you have questions, just use your electronic hand, which is somewhere. I think you all know it's under React. And if you do that, you see raising your hand, and you do that, and I will ask you to speak. So, okay, so I've been involved since 1985. I actually think it was one of the greatest things that ever happened to me. My life been so different without it. So there isn't a day that I don't wake up with deep gratitude that I'm a member of this wonderful family. Starting when it was in Yonkers, New York, working to change that poor neighborhood, which was so much crack going on then, and then going after that internationally. Okay, so what's some of the big questions that we have? I'll tell you what my question is. So how do I live in a world and in a system outside, system here, which is so built around separation, so built around being separate? And this is a problem, and it's not just my problem or Buddhist problem. For anybody who cares about living in confluence, being compatible with real life, it's a problem, because separation and calling things by certain names and saying, this is a screen, and this is a tissue, and this is a glass of water, in and of itself is not a problem, but living in a world of that, it's a problem because it isn't real life. It just isn't real. I know this looks like a glass of water. It feels cool, like the water in it is cool. I'm aware of that. But really, that is not reality. And I don't care whether you're a member of other spiritual traditions, whether you follow Einsteinian physics, whether you follow quantum mechanics, they all say the same thing. What we swear as a this is really not this. What this is a whole conglomeration of molecules and electrons and all those things that at a particular moment take a form, and then I swear, there it is, a glass of water. But what they will also tell you is that everything changes so fast, and electrons come together, they don't come together, and it's all movement, it's all action, it's all change. So even before I can say, there's Mark, there's Mimsy, there's Mary Elaine, before I can even say that, you've changed. You're not the same people you were 2 seconds ago. And neither am I, and believe it or not, neither is this. If only because this water is warming up a bit as I hold it. But things are changing all the time. So you can't isolate me at any particular moment and say, this is Eve Marko. You can't isolate the paper I have here with some notes and say, this is a piece of paper with notes. That's what we mean by emptiness. And in Buddhism, that's a very big word, empty. But empty what? It's empty of its own separate self, solid self. What I think is that really can be something very different. That particular moment, that's what it is. The next moment, it won't be that, and it won't be that, and it won't be that. And this happens all the time. And quantum mechanics certainly says this. It says things that are way more radical than that, such as that things come into being just by the fact that I noticed it and gave attention to it. And if I didn't give attention to it, they're not even there. You have different scientists who say all kinds of things. But what there seems to be a real agreement is that nothing is really separate from anything else. Everything affects everything. So if I look at Jeff, who I've known for how many years now, Jeff? Since we met in South Dakota 6 years ago. I have a sense of just a few of the things that make up Jeff. And what affects Jeff is his family, his daughter here, all kinds of physical things. The whole world affects Jeff. And Jeff changes with it. And in doing that, he changes us. Because that's what we mean when we say we are interdependent. I look at myself, I'm a conglomeration of infinite number of things. Infinite. So who is Eve? What is that? And what is Eve if she's changing all the time? So yes, day to day there is an Eve, certainly. But is that reality? That's part of reality. But it isn't all of reality. And this is tough because it's so counterintuitive, isn't it? You get up, I see my dog, looks like Aussie, feels like Aussie, has a big mouth like Aussie, I know Aussie. It looks like the same girl all the time. But you see, to think that that's just her, Aussie is totally affected by everything in the world. And she is changing everything in the world according to that. My senses are on the slow side. So I kind of trust what is visible, what I can touch, what I can smell, all those things. But do you realize how many things are not accessible to me at all? Because they're not accessible to my six senses. The sixth sense is the cognitive function, so we call it six senses, not five. Most of life is not accessible to us. It just isn't. It really isn't. And so the question is, how do I live? You see? And you know that if you live in a deluded kind of way, it doesn't bode well. Because you don't know what to do. I don't know how to function. I mean, if I'm deluded, I can think that, A is B and B, and what kind of a life is that? So Zen is one of a number of mystical traditions that are addressing that question. What's really the nature of reality? And how do I live in congruence with that? Something that I can't even sense, but I know it's there. I know it's there. But what is it? And how do I live with it? So Zen is one of those traditions, and its big hallmark is to do meditation. Meditation, those of you who've done meditation, whatever the practice, what it's usually about is trying to quiet down this brain, quiet down this dominating sense. Have some ease, have some peace. Try to quiet it, let it go. Let the thoughts go. Don't stop thinking, but let them go. And be awake to what else is going on. That's why we emphasize the body so much. Pay attention to your belly. Pay attention to all these things. Don't become a captive to just this. And we are all captives in some way to just this. Bernie Glassman used to get up when he would give a talk in front of many people, and he would say, "Hi, my name is Bernie, and I am an addict. I am addicted to the self, and I will always be addicted to the self," just like they say in AA. And he saw it, and he knew it about himself, that with all his practice and his years and years and years of work, he was still an addict. It was always something that he remembered, and he would have to work on it to the end of his days. Now, Zen Peacemakers, oh, that's another thing. How did Bernie define meditation? He defined it according to the definition of someone who was the sixth patriarch, known as the sixth patriarch in China, and said, anytime there is no subject-object relationship, that's meditation. So if you think that meditation is just sitting down and now letting your thoughts, no, it is huge. It is the biggest practice, and he swore by it and did it, I really think, to his dying day. But he said, actually, it's anything that we do without a subject-object relationship. So think of how, if you have kids or grandkids, if you hug a child and you're really hugging that child, you don't think about it, or your husband or wife or partner or whoever, and you're just really hugging them. There's no subject-object relationship. You're not saying, oh, this is me and I'm hugging Mike. You see what I'm saying? Without all that, you're feeling the person. You're feeling, either the skin or the clothes. You feel the body. You feel everything. That's where you are. That's where your attention is. Bernie would have said you're doing meditation because there's no subject-object relationship. So when people used to say to him, Roshi, I don't have time to practice, he would say, what are you talking about? Everything is practice. Just because you're not sitting in a zendo doesn't mean you're not practicing. The question is, how are you living your life? Are you, whatever you do, can you do it without a subject-object relationship? This is me writing. No, can I just write and plunge into it and forget that this is Eve writing her blog, writing this play, and how many more hours? No, get away from that. Can I just do it? And you hear the phrase in Zen, just do it. Don't let this thing control you. That's what the just refers to. No subject-object relationship. So now you can think of what you do throughout your day and say, oh, I see that's practice too. If I love cooking and I'm just cutting this and I add some garlic and I'm really into it, that's Zen practice because there's no subject-object relationship. Anything you do like that is practice. And that was a very, very big principle for him. Zen Peacemakers also does, it emphasizes peacemaking. So there's different Zen families, different philosophies, and they emphasize different things. Zen Peacemakers is about peacemaking. And as I've often said when I've done classes here, he called it Zen Peacemakers because he used the word peace, but he took it out of the Hebrew, which is shalom. And shalom, if you change the vowels, comes to shalem, which means whole. And make something whole. Now, because we said everything is interdependent, it's already whole. Believe me, it is whole. Whether you or I see it or that, it is whole. but can you bring wholeness into your life? Or he loved to use see that everybody is the one body. That was his favorite metaphor. We are all the one body. We're different. There's toenails, there's an elbow, there's a liver, there's an anus, there's ears, there's a billion cells that are all the time changing day by day by day. There's all these. We're different. There's no problem with differences. And all these different things make up one thing. It's the one body. And rather than just live our life only according to labeling, well, this is the liver, that's more important than the elbow, and the eyebrows, they look kind of shaggy, but oh boy, the mouth, or all these judgments we make all the time. He said, forget all that. Everything and everybody has a function, and it's always serving the one body. And I would say in Zen Peacemakers, the question is, how do we not just serve ourselves? How do we not just serve some kind of political end or a social end or this, whatever it is, but how do we serve the one body? Okay. Questions so far? Please don't worry if it's not clear. It's probably not clear to many people, including me. Yes, Cheryl, please unmute. Good.
Yeah, thank you. Could I even wrote it down like true meditation is no subject-object relationship, and I'm gonna have to really think about that. Could you just say it again? What is it?
True meditation is no subject-object relation.
Yeah, but that's hard.
Not
So
hard. No, I mean, think about your life. Think about today. Okay? You want to tell me that you went the whole day thinking about every single thing you did?
okay, so that's making it more clear. So let's say I've fed my dogs.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm thinking about my dogs, that is not meditation. I shouldn't be thinking. I should just be putting the food in the bowls and
Yeah, sometimes we have to plan. Okay, what do I have for Aussie? Okay, I don't have meat. I have cheese. I'm going to give her her the dry dog food, but I add some quinoa to that and some broth. But it's like, I know, I'm just taking them out of the fridge. Here you are, putting it in the dog bowl. And there it is, Aussie. You see? It's like, he would say if you're not analyzing and labeling and comparing and all that stuff of entertaining, that is a relationship where it's no subject object. There's
okay.
no separation there.
Oh,
Anything you do, if you cut sliced tofu, like I did today, and I just did it. And very often we know what to do. We don't think about how to slice tofu. I've done it enough times in my life, or how to make rice, 5,000 times in my life. And I just hold the pan and the water and the rice. You see, all those things that don't involve all this constant chatter,
right.
now you are really practicing.
Okay. Yeah, that's helpful. Thank you.
I go out it's freezing here in New England. I go out in the cold, boom, it hits me just like this. Now, before I can say, ooh, it's freezing, but that first thing, you see, and my skin opens up. It doesn't open up, it probably closes down in the freeze and all that. You see, that's no subject-object relationship. When does it start? When I start naming it. Oh, it's
Got it.
freezing. Why am I going out with this bloody dog? Do I have the right gloves? Is she going to need a jacket? You see, but that first Open the door, boom. Ooh, you see?
Okay. Yes, that's really helpful. Thank
Yeah.
you.
And but see the intimacy of it. And in many ways, intimacy is a big thing for us here. Be intimate with your life, every aspect of it. Can we do that? So, back in 1994, Bernie formulated his three. And let me say this because I won't say it again. I won't go there. Um, I wear this. It's a layperson's Buddhist robe, and this particular one I have two now. So one is black, yeah, and the other one is this, which actually symbolizes activity and practice in every realm of life. So if you're spending a lot of years in business, that's a practice. The question is, what are you doing? If you're doing social action, you work in nonprofits, that's a realm of practice. If you teach, if you learn anything, our practice is everywhere. And we give it a name and all that, and we teach it in the Zen Peacemaker order. But I did want to make sure that you understood that. You can practice everywhere, everywhere. And there's a lot behind that statement that I won't go into. I'm going to go into these three tenets, and today I heard a wonderful definition of not knowing. So the first tenet that Bernie formulated for Zen Peacemakers is be in a state of not knowing. We define not, if you look it up, it's on our website, I'm sure. We define it as let go temporarily, of your ideas and thoughts. So it's like, don't be a captive to your brain. Don't say, I know this and I know that, and I've been here and I've done it and I've done this and I've done that, Or as I say, some people here have seen this already, you don't have to be ignorant. You don't have to let go of everything, but can you just hold it lightly? So let's say you can see my hand. Rather than clutching, hold it loosely. Hold it loosely. It'll still be there. My opinions, my thoughts, my certainties, my principles, my values, blah, blah, blah. But can I hold them lightly? Today I was on the phone with a few wonderful Zen teachers, and my friend Michelle Dobbs, and some of you know Michelle, and some of you were at Auschwitz with Michelle, huh? The Auschwitz Retreat, our 30th, I think it was, Jeff, right? Our 30th, good God, who would have imagined years ago? Just, finished a few weeks ago. So Michelle said to me, you know what I think not knowing is? It's keeping the heart open. Just opening the heart and keeping it open. And I said, huh. And I realized, he's darn right. Keeping the heart open. Ask yourself what happens when suddenly something happens and your heart opens. Let's say you saw your grandchild. You saw your child. You saw and you say, like that. And your heart opens. You know what shuts up? The brain. Think about it. The brain then does, you're feeling, the heart is open. Does your brain yak, yak, yak? If it starts yakking, your heart's closing little by little. But when it opens, you see someone who you haven't seen in a long time, and you say, your heart is open. The more open the heart, the more muted that analytic voice. And it was the first time I ever heard this. Jeff, it was the first time I heard that. Don't you think that's a wonderful definition? I really think so. It's so simple because that's our thing. Keep the heart open. That's what we mean when we say be one with. I can't duplicate your life. Even those of you that I know, I can't ever really step into your shoes, and you can't step really into mine. What can I do? Keep the heart open. Don't say, oh, I don't know, she doesn't look right to me, or he's such an, whatever. And how does that person live his life? I don't understand it. Wait a minute. Keep your heart open. And when you keep that heart open, this thing that constantly wants to capture your attention and capture your attention starts getting muted. And that's a wonderful definition for not knowing. Keep your heart open. Now, that's not easy, as anyone can tell. I know we have a few people here. Oh, Mimsy, do you have your hand up? Because for some reason, I don't know.
I do.
Oh,
I just loved what you just said, what Michelle had said. It reminds me of what you said earlier about emptiness, letting go of the empty of its solid self, and so there's this openness to what's arising, in terms of the keeping of one's heart open. So I
right.
see a connection between the emptiness as well as the not knowing.
Yeah, yeah. And as Mimsy, since you were at the Auschwitz Retreat too, and Mark was, I know, and I don't know who else was if you're here. If I missed you, I'm sorry, but I certainly know about Mark and Mimsy. It's not easy. So it's to be, let's say, in a place like that, to be open, to be tender, to be fiercely vulnerable, to see terrible things, to be there. That is not easy. It is a natural reaction. No, 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 no. And how do we close up? We may not think we're closing up, but I'll tell you, this thing starts yakking. It's like this, but it was also their fault. It's like this. Or, yeah, but you can also see it that way. Or, it's like, wait a minute. I'm not saying don't use, the brain is good for a lot of things. But to really be fiercely vulnerable, that's hard because we so badly want to be in control. We want to control our life, the life of our family. We want things to be okay. It's such a natural desire, huh? We can't. We can't. But we're still open. Jeff and his staff published a magnificent testament to the retreat by somebody who'd been there. And I was so moved by that. It was just gorgeous, Jeff. It was just beautiful what this man wrote. And I actually, I'm going to read you because I was just so moved by it. The days settle into a rhythm of endurance and tenderness. Endurance and tenderness. Morning meditation on the selection platform, an hour or more of stillness in air that hovers around freezing, long silent walks across the camp, the children's barracks, the crematoria, the ruins of the sauna where prisoners were stripped, shaved, disinfected, and tattooed. Still, he says, each morning I wake wanting to leave. And I know just how he must have felt, I think. There wasn't a day that I was there in many, many retreats that I did there that I didn't feel the same way. Each morning I wake wanting to leave. The cold, the rain, the snow, the grief of the place, the stripping away of habitual comforts. I feel undone. That is the word. Undone. That is not knowing. undone. I'm not this finished product that I always project all around me. I'm really undone. And then the question is, you don't have to go to Auschwitz-Birkenau to feel that. Although the place has helped a lot of people feel that. Our practice is to feel it day by day, to be, even as we develop ourselves, talents, skills, views, it's always to be somewhat undone. You see some people put, I don't think of women who put this very heavy makeup to have a certain face. There was an old phrase, to do your face, that women used to call when they put on makeup, if you remember that. I'm going to put on my face. And that meant I'm going to look finished. I'm going to look smooth. I'm going to look like there's no problem. I'm going to look like a mask. Really, that's what it meant. When you don't do that, when you're just this fiercely vulnerable person, now life really comes in. Now life really reaches you. Now you're making love with life as it is, as it is. You're not fighting. You're not resisting. You're not second guessing. Here it is. Are there questions? Oh, wait a minute. Let me just see. No, let me ask, are there questions?
Another thing I've heard Michelle say that's equally simple but really impactful about Zazen: strong back, soft front, which I've always loved.
Yeah, I think Trungpa Rinpoche was the first to say that.
Was that his? Yeah.
I think that was his, yeah. Steve, my screen is a little cut off the top of the boxes. So if you have, did you have a question?
Yes, I do. Thank you. Thank you, Eve. I thank you for this discussion, and I'm digesting some about our understanding of the nature of our self. But my question is how, in the embracing of this absence of subject object, how it affects your view of other people. So as I am in relationship with you and see you and care about you and want to support you or dislike you or whatever the relationship is, how does that change the way that I regard you, this changing phenomenon of energy and space?
Oh, how do I answer that? I was, probably still am, a pretty judgmental person. I tend to work a lot with this. It's been a big area of practice for me. If the more open I am, the more people I let into my life, the more different viewpoints I let into my life. Even things that are what I might think are outrageous. I was going to mention this when it came to the third tenet, which is taking action, but I think it's good now. One of our big practices, and we did this in ZPO in the last training, was to tell people, leave your comfort zone and go meet people who are not like you, who you might even disapprove of, who vote differently from you, who think about this country differently from you. Go and be with illegal immigrants. I don't care whether you speak the language or not. They'll figure it out, and you'll figure it out. Go and, sit with the homeless. Go and, go and be with people who are different from you. In order to do that, you have to open your heart. If you already decided over here that this is no good, and I can't really, and I don't like that, I'm not comfortable there, and that's not my environment, and whatever, that is really going to limit what you see, what you experience, and it's going to limit what you do. If you want to make peace in the world, you can't just be in your comfort zone. You got to go and meet people who are different. The other person I was speaking with today was Joshin Burns, who has a wonderful Zen center up in Vermont. Street people come in, they eat, they drink coffee, they have a lot of fun there. And Joshin came back from an 8-day retreat in the Tenderloin area of San Francisco, which has thousands of people, if you've been in the Tenderloin area, who are doing fentanyl and other drugs. And he says, comes nighttime, we're sleeping, and we always have night visitors. Sure enough, somebody comes to him. He's sleeping on the streets. This is what we call a street retreat, one of our many practices that I recommend strongly to everybody. And the guy says, hey, I got some fentanyl, but, oh no, I've got meth. Do you have fentanyl? Could we do a trade? And Joshin tells him, no, I don't use, whatever. I start talking. Now imagine somebody comes to you and starts a conversation like that. What would you do? Would you kind of, not my neighborhood, not my friends, not my crowd, you see? But he's just there, and he says, oh, so he says, it was very cold there for San Francisco. He says, how's it going? And the guy says, it's okay, but you look cold. You know what you need? You need the cartons have to be set up because they sleep on cartons and cardboard. Have to be set up in a particular way. So he built him like a wind protector out of cartons. And he says, here, now you'll sleep better because I just built you out of cardboard, something that protects you from the wind. Now, you see, and it was so moving to him. He described how it moved him. Now, would he have had that experience if he'd said, look what he's saying to me, look what he's inviting me to, oh, that's not my friend, oh, let me get out of here. No. You see how different it is? And those of us who've been, whether in bearing witness retreats of different kinds that Zen Peacemakers offers, whether it's street retreats, what amazes us is the gifts we get from the most amazing people. People who are not our crowd at all. People who we may never meet. People who everybody else looks down on. In my experience, the most giving people were poor people. I could bet you that if I was on the streets and I wanted a cup of coffee, the person who was going to buy me a cup of coffee was probably somebody who could barely afford it for themselves. I've seen that. I've experienced it. So that's the difference, Steve. All those, and I don't have to tell you in this country how much we need to cross those boundaries, how important that is. But that means that we may not always be very comfortable. So you don't have to, again, even go to where he went in the Tenderloin with, 4 other people for 8 days and all that. Even in your neighborhood, you are bound to find people who are not your crowd. Who are they? The Latino gardeners who are coming in to go, to cultivate the gardens outside these fancy homes. Is that, do you talk with them? Look at who subconsciously you may be avoiding. I mean, that's a whole life you're not looking at, you're not dealing with. So I don't know if that helped answer your question. I do, so when I'm in that state, I am bearing witness. You see, I'm bearing witness to whatever's in front of me. And bearing witness means I'm close to it. Watching the news on TV is not bearing witness. You see, bearing witness is you're very, very close. You know, you're not far, and you're not even doing Zoom. Is this bearing witness? This is a wonderful exchange, and I learned so much from it. But bearing witness is be right there. Be right there. When it came to street retreats, I met so many ministers and whatever, and they say, oh, we do these midnight runs and we bring blankets. We bring food. We bring this. We bring that. What do you bring? And we'd say, we bring presence, not ENTS, PRESENCE. We bring presence. Just like Joshin in the Tenderloin. He's there. You want to make an exchange of drugs? Well, not really. But tell me, what do you do about the cold? What do you do about food? What do you do about the police? What do you do about this? And they're just, and they'll tell you. They'll give you the best advice about where to eat and how to avoid the cops and all that. You see, that now he's bearing witness. He's not reading a book. He's right there. His gift is presence. So anytime we are open and our heart is open, that's presence. I'm not, you're wrong. Okay, maybe later I might say something if the conversation. But he's not trying to change his mind about using fentanyl. I mean, what is he going to do? He's a user. Not like that. But there they are. It's 2 a.m. And the guy, woke him up. And so we're talking about the weather, talking about health, talking about it's presence. It's seeing a human being, showing yourself as a vulnerable human being. No, I don't have it all together. No, this is not a conversation between a user and somebody who's a Zen teacher and who's done many things in his life and he's got it all together. No, that's bearing witness. You see the difference? Right being there. And yeah, your heart will break sometimes. Really, your heart will break. And we don't want our heart to break. But sometimes our heart will just sing from that conversation, you see? You can't have one without the other. And we have to step into that space, into the open heart that is not knowing, and now be with things as they are. Be with things that they are. Always the big guiding question for me with people and everything is, it's like, so what's it like to be you? You see, the minute you start asking that, now you're bearing witness. What's it like to be you? What's it like to be Eleanor? What's it like to be Ana Lucia? What's it like? And now just listen, right? Yeah. I think, Margaret, you said, I'm good at listening. Boy, listening for me is a lifetime project. And bearing witness is a lot of listening. It's not opinions, not just listen. Have an open heart, listen, see. out of that comes our third tenet, which is now do something. And you'll say, well, what do I do? And I'll say, whatever comes up for you out of not being and not knowing and bearing witness. It may be that to you it looks like, Joshin didn't do anything in the Tenderloin. He listened. The other guy went and built a cardboard wind protector for him. Joshin didn't do anything. But just that listening, just whatever happened, that presence, that exchange, that whatever, that was his action. He didn't have to fix anybody. We're not looking at fixing people. We're not even looking at ending their drug habits. How do I do that? It could be that out of the interaction we have in the relationship we're building, they may be encouraged to stop using. But we're just relating to them as they are and as we are. That's it. I've told this story 100 million times, but Jeff, I can't, this is 100 million and one. That back in the 80s, I heard this great radio, there was no podcast then, radio interview, and she was interviewing a priest, a Catholic priest, and he was in Times Square, and he had a little van there where he made coffee and tea, and he had donuts for all the prostitutes in Times Square. And she would say, so what do you do, Father, or whatever his name was? And he said, I make coffee, tea, and I give them donuts. And they can come in and sit down and warm up. And she says, you're a priest. Don't you tell them it's wrong? He says, no. Don't you tell them they should mend their ways? No. Don't you tell them they may get sick with AIDS and so on? No. So I don't understand. What do you do? And he says, I make coffee and tea and give donuts. And she says, I don't understand. How could you do that? I still don't understand. And she really didn't understand. And he says, I make coffee and tea and donuts. That's it. Wow. It was in the 1980s, and you could see, I have never forgotten that program, that interview. That is action. That is action. And there are a lot of different facets about this action. The greatest thing, you don't have to worry about it ahead of time. You're saying, oh my God, there's so many homeless people in my neighborhood. What do I do? What do I do? How do we end it? Oh, don't worry about it. Just, first of all, be in not know. Open your heart. Go out there. Say, hey, did you have some coffee today? Would you like some? I'll get you a cup of coffee. How are you doing? I can't tell you. Do you ask their names? What's your name? My name is this. Who are you? Where you come from? How you feeling? This, without being intrusive. No judgment. You see? And you'll say, well, I don't know what to do. You're doing it. You're in relationship. Isn't that great? And out of that, you'll find out what to do. Well, I could use a sweater. I think I have a sweater. It's kind of tattered, it's old. Oh, I don't mind, it might fit you. Here's a sweater. Or, what else do you need? Just build a relationship. You don't have to worry about some big time action. It all comes out of the process in such a natural way. But you have to start the process. You have to open your heart, bear witness, and say, let me find out what they need. Hey, maybe they don't need anything. I am so glad. Fine. You see how beautiful it all is? There's something so natural and seamless about being a human being. By being fiercely vulnerable human being. Yeah. Open, tender, vulnerable. Okay, we only have a few minutes. Questions, anybody?
Me, that's me, Anna.
Anna.
Um, uh, this goes deep. Your last, your your last sentence that you have repeated before about being fearful, vulnerable, um, and have the openness, the courage as well to be really be present with people who are completely different from you. And it's not, I think one point is what we see as vulnerability may become strength. We may recognize that the other person we saw as somebody would be in need of help. He can show so much strength, so much wisdom in the way of being in the world in a difficult situation. So uh, I've had some experiences of being with people which are completely different, traditional people, and they see the world differently, and it's very rich, and they are strong, and I have learned a lot being with them. So sometimes I feel that coming into peacemaking has helped me doing the work I do. It's completely different, but it's the same thing. It's not tolerating the difference, but embracing the difference. So, and I've been reading Infinite Circle, and I love the book. Don't you want, don't you want to translate it into Portuguese? I love the book.
I think you should talk to Coho about that.
No, I haven't been with him lately, but I've
About,
been reading it.
I
It's an
know
idea.
he's translated other books into Portuguese. So,
Yeah, he translated instructions to the cook
yeah, we're going to talk about that tomorrow evening to a whole
tomorrow.
book
I
that
will be with you again.
be there too. So, yeah, mention it to Coho because I agree it's a magnificent book. And it's
Yeah.
called Infinite Circle. And Bernie Glassman in 8081, before I ever met him, just would come in and just ad lib. He ad libbed that entire book. No notes, he never prepared, never wrote any notes, and just talked. And luckily it was taped and it was transcribed, and two of us later over the years took it on to produce a book with that. But it is a beauty. So I do recommend it to everyone. Okay, I know it's 8 o'clock my time here, and Jeff is waiting maybe to close. So again, thank you so much for coming. I really, even those of you who are shy appeared. That and you can see my blog under my name, evemarko.com, or I think .com. And I hope you remember, have some membership in Zen Peacemakers. I don't care which, because you'll hear some wonderful, wonderful people.
Be-
Right?
Wonderful. Yes, thanks, Eve. And be, be sure to sign up for the newsletter. It's free. We send it on Sunday or on Tuesday, I mean, and it gives you news about upcoming events like this. So we hope to see you again. Join us, and and stay healthy, stay safe, stay sane, stay happy, and take care of yourselves. And Eve, thank you so much. This was really good. And by the way, everyone, we record this too. So in a few days, it'll be on the website if you want to listen again. And I think I will, to be sure. So thank you all. Have a good evening.